I remember my first backpacking trip. Hey, my name's Cheesebeard. I just finished the CDT a couple days ago and completed my Triple Crown, and today I'll be going through my pack and showing you guys the gear I used for the trip. Cool, so we're gonna start with my backpack. It is the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Wind Rider 3400. Love it, it's my favorite backpack I've ever owned. Just really hardy material. It barely wore at all. Like, I don't have very many wear points. Incredibly comfortable, weighs in at like 2 pounds. Right here I've got the InReach Rescue Link. It's a personal location beacon, and yeah, just in emergencies, you can get out if you have to. They'll send help. This always makes me feel really comfortable in the backcountry. Got a Gossamer Gear cell phone holder. That's what I use it for. Pop cell phone in there, maybe throw like some extra headphones or something in there as well. Yeah, really awesome. The tent I use the most on the trail, I use several different ones, but the one by Gossamer Gear is incredible. Love this tent. The updated version fixes a lot of the problems I had with the original one. Yeah, awesome tent. I carry a whole collection of stakes. I have every type that you can have. I got groundhogs. I got like the little weird like triangular ones and the big nail ones. Yeah, I always try to carry at least one extra stake. I ended up losing, I think I started out with 2 extras, 3 extras, and I got down to like exactly the number I needed before I added more. For my water system, I carried a Sawyer filter. I use 1.5 liter bottles. I also used 1 liter bottles, and then I always carry a 32 ounce Gatorade wide mouth as well, to make sure I never mistake drinking dirty water when I want to do like drink mixes or something. Don't have that on me, but yeah. I also have a 2 liter platypus just for the drier stretches when you need to have more capacity. I think the biggest capacity I had on the trail was around 6 liters. Moving on, we got my stove setup. We've got a pocket rocket. These things are absolutely bomb-proof. I've had this on the AT, the PCT, and the CDT now, and it functions flawlessly. The only time I've ever had an issue is when pasta water boils over. Sometimes these little holes get gummed up, and you just gotta take like a little stick and poke them out. But yeah, love this stove. I always carry the big fuel. You can get away with the small one, but the big one just gets you further. You usually get around 500 miles of use out of these cans. And yeah, I just prefer not going into stores all the time to buy new ones in town. I've got the MSR Titan. It's a great pot, stainless, or it's titanium, super lightweight, and yeah, really like it, except for it's a little small. Sometimes when you make ramen bombs, they overflow at the top a little bit. Kind of got to munch the crunchy ramen down before you boil it all together. Use a titanium long spoon. This is the first year I used a long spoon, and I'm a total convert. It's nice not to get little bits of cheese and mashed potatoes on your fingertips at the end of the meal. Highly recommend getting a long spoon. With that, I also have the Bic lighter. This lighter actually made it for the entirety of the PCT and the entirety of the CDT. It's got an incredible amount of fuel. I can't believe it's still going. You could totally use small ones, but I thought it was cool to have a Phoenix on there, so got that guy. In the desert, right before we got in Colorado, my Sawyer froze, so I picked up Aquamira. I don't particularly like Aquamira, but it's nice when you're in really cold conditions or you're drinking water that's really gross. If you're like ever question a water source, it's kind of nice to squeeze it through the Sawyer to get the sediment and the junk out of it, and then back it up with a little Aquamira. I'm just not a big fan of the way it tastes, and I'm not convinced that it's very healthy for you over time. I carried a pair of Jolbo Glacier glasses with me. I damaged my eyes last year on the PCT, and I really didn't want to do that again, so I have Spectron 3 lenses, so they filter out a lot more UV than just gas station glasses, and I was just trying to take care of my eyes. They worked really well. They did get really scratched up in the bottoms though, which is kind of obnoxious when you're trying to watch your feet for rocks. Here is kind of like my toiletry bag. Carried a head net. I actually carried it the whole way. I didn't really use it besides in Montana, but I use it extensively in Montana for the bugs. I kind of just carried it the whole way because last year in the Sierras I got kind of scarred by bugs mentally, so I just like keep it for my own sanity. Plus it weighs very little, maybe like an ounce, maybe 2. I always carry Advil with me. It's pretty much my entire medical kit is Advil, and then I also carry caffeine pills, which I don't have on me right now either. And I like to keep both of them in hip belts so that they're easily accessible. A lot of the times when you give them out to friends, you ask if they want Advil and they say they have them, but they have to go digging through their pack and you've got yours on quick draw. Carry sunscreen with me. Little tube. This guy lasted me the entire state of New Mexico. Yeah, really important to have. I always keep a backup lighter with me. So that, you know, if you lose one, you always have something to start up your stove or start a fire in an emergency. Some lip balm. Got really chapped lips in New Mexico, and I find that chapstick is great for chafing as well. It comes in this like really convenient tiny little thing, and you can just wipe a little bit off the top if you're chafing bad, and then wipe it onto any of the like rubbing bits. I also like to carry a smart water cap, just extra, so that if you do have to sleep with your Sawyer filter and you're dry camping, you can put this onto the top of your water and not have to worry about it tipping over in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's just a good thing to hold on to. Dental floss, pretty self-explanatory. Toothbrush, I don't like cutting them in half. I like to have the full handle. I'm not that UL, I guess, but yeah. I carry prescription toothpaste because I have terrible teeth. I carry a charger. It's only got one port, which is really kind of obnoxious, but I dealt with it the entire time. Always carry a backup pair of headphones. If you're in the backcountry and your headphones break and you're just having kind of a rough day, it's nice to escape into some music, audiobooks, podcasts, whatever. But yeah, always carry a backup pair. You never know when they're gonna break. My bathroom kit, my poop kit, is a Ninja Turtle poop trowel. Bought this thing for 98 cents in Walmart. This thing triple crowned, made it through the AT, PCT, and CDT. It's killer. Love this thing. Super goofy. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. I like to full roll it. I don't want to ever run out of toilet paper. That's just me. I don't gamble with taking off bits at a time. And then Purell, just regular old hand sanitizer. Yeah, trekking poles. I got some Luckies. I'm not sure what model they are. They're kind of the base pair. They also triple crowned. They're killer poles. They're not the lightest, but they're my favorite piece of gear. I put some stickers on them. Loves collecting stickers on my poles, and by far my favorite thing that I have. Let's see, so I carried a lot of cameras on trail. I started out carrying the A7R2. This thing ended up having problems and it broke, so I switched over to film. But when I carry this, I really like this Ultrapod. It's the lightest weight tripod I've been able to find, and I find it much steadier than the GorillaPods, and I use it for any type of star shots I'm gonna get. It's also nice because you can use the Velcro on it to strap it to a fence post or a tree or something like that if you're trying to get a bit of a higher angle, because otherwise you're kind of stuck with a worm's eye view. With my digital camera, I carry a couple extra batteries, a couple extra memory cards. You'll chew through batteries if you're doing long exposures. I carried the Hasselblad through Colorado with an extra back and a bunch of film. And then I also carried the Minolta X700 with the Japan Camera Hunters film carrier, and just, yeah, a bunch of film. So I carried the Hyperlight dry sack just for all 3 camera systems, whatever I was carrying. I use this as an extra layer of water protection. I would put them inside this bag and then inside the backpack just to be extra safe. Yeah, so my headlamp, I had a Coast headlamp. I was not honestly the biggest fan of it, but it made it all the way through the trail, so it's hard to argue with that. It's just not quite the brightest, and it does not have a lock on it. so that can be kind of obnoxious to find your headlamp on in your pack and then all the batteries are dead in it. I use the Thermarest X Lite. I've used this pad on the AT and the PCT, and then it broke. They sent me a new one because the valve had broken on it. So then I used this one on the entirety of this trail, as well as the end of the PCT. Can't complain about it. It's really nice and lightweight. I think it's 13 ounces, and yeah, it's pretty comfortable. I did have to patch it a couple times, but that's because I personally love cowboy camping. It's my favorite way to camp, and a lot of the times you'll prick the pad on sharp stuff on the grounds. For cowboy camping, I use this ground sheet. It's the Hyperlight ground sheet. Love this thing. Super lightweight, packs down to nothing. It can really scrunch up super tiny. Moving on down, my rain gear. I use Frog Tog pants, or rain pants. They're kind of a heavier version. I'm not exactly sure what model they are, but I use these more than anything for like a layer of warmth, more so than rain. I use them in rain as well. They're nice and watertight. I haven't really ever gotten wet in a storm wearing these. And then I have the Hyperlight Shell. I have really mixed feelings about it, but made it through the whole trip and I was never wet wearing it. Yeah, moving on to more sleep stuff. I always carry a silk cocoon bag liner. It's really nice because it keeps your bag a little cleaner, a little less smelly. You get into town, you can throw it in the laundry and get most of the funk out of there. And it also adds quite a bit of warmth, and they're really lightweight. I don't know exactly how much they weigh, but it's really not that much. Then I have the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. I actually really like this quilt. It was some of the colder nights, it did not really hold up to the degree rating, I think, but yeah, overall I think this performed pretty well. I also carry a bougie little pillow. It's the X-Ped. This thing also triple crowned, had it for the entirety of the AT, PCT, and CDT. It's just kind of like a little extra comfort. I quite liked it. It actually broke right at the end. It has these little like baffledings, and the baffleding rips, and now it like inflates super big at the bottom. But it was still really comfortable if you just like deflated it and let it be a bit softer. I used a Osprey pack liner just for all my soft goods, so for all my sleeping stuff here, and then yeah, just to keep it, make sure that it stayed dry. Just that little extra layer of protection. I also kept my puffy in it. And this is the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. Love the jacket for the weight. It's quite warm for how light it really is. Yeah, just a great all-around jacket. Moving on then to more warm layers, I carried the Patagonia Capilene Thermal Expedition weight. I also had. I did not like these very much. I don't think that they're very warm. The wind cuts straight through them. Maybe as like with heavier layers on top they'd be better, but I never found that they actually kept me that warm, and I don't understand why they would consider an expedition weight for how warm they are. They are very lightweight. They're 4 ounces, which is the reason I got them, but overall they did not keep me particularly super warm. I had just a regular old beanie hat, nothing weird about that. I also had a Black Rock down hat as well. These are very warm. Yeah, quite like this beanie. It's a really good beanie. I carried these gloves with me the entire way. I'm not even sure what model they are. The Cirrus? Yeah, Cirrus gloves, and they're pretty comfortable. I did carry a second pair to wear on top of these in Colorado, and I also had these rain mitts by Mountain Laurel Designs to put on top, but I honestly did not like these gloves at all. I just never really ever busted them out, and yeah, never really used them. So I always keep a baseball hat with me. Just keep the sun out of your eyes. helps a lot. I ended up having 5 different hats on the trail just from losing them, or I don't know, dumb stuff happening, or maybe a cooler one came along. Always carry a hat, I think. It's really important in the desert, especially just to shield your eyes a bit more. I wore a crag hopper button down. It was like UPF, whatever, like super sun protected, and it also had permethrin treatment. Although I never felt like it made quite a difference with permethrin, but loved the shirt. It lasted the whole way. Like, there's no wear in the shoulders. It was quite comfortable in the heat. It breathes really well, and yeah, love the shirt. I just wore basic Asics running shorts the entire time. Never had a problem with them. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Socks, I wore Darn Toughs at the end, but honestly my favorite are Belegas, and I chewed through quite a few pairs of socks. Underwear, my favorites are the REI brand underwear, just kind of boxer briefs. They're fantastic. I love these underwear. I don't think I would wear anything else. I find ex officios chafe. And then I had the Vask Vertical Velocities. They're a tough shoe. I think the most miles I put on a pair were 900, and they didn't tear anywhere. They had no tear. The only thing that wore is the soles start to go a bit bald, and the mid cushion goes out around 500 miles. You'll start feeling the rocks pretty good under your feet. Moving on from there, we have my organizational system. I use pods. I use 2 of them for food bags. I like to do snacks and lunches in one, and then dinners and breakfasts in the other. And then the third one was kind of my ditty bag / spare clothes and warm layers bag. I love them. They're like literally the shape of the pack, so you use up like most of the available space inside the pack using them. So this pile over here, this is all the stuff that I didn't carry all the time, but would carry for certain things. So we'll start with the warm layers. In Colorado, it was super cold, so I had the T-33 long johns. These things are fantastic. Love them. Super warm. And this paired with the other Capilene long underwear got me through Colorado. I also found that my puffy ended up not being enough in Colorado, so I added this fleece along with it. It's I believe it's White Sierra. What is it? Yeah, White Sierra fleece. It was $6 at a thrift store. It made all the difference in the world. I also carried sleep socks, just really big, beefy wigwams. They were super warm. For Glacier, I carried micro spikes and an ice axe. Didn't really feel like I ever needed them, actually, but I carried them anyway because it was supposed to be a pretty rough snow year, but we got in after most of it had melted away. Love the ice axe. This is the second through hike I've carried it on. Yep, would definitely recommend. It's super lightweight. I always carry a buff with me. This is my cold weather buff. It's much thicker. I think it's made of a synthetic material that's just much warmer. And it's amazing how much warmer you are as soon as you start putting layers on your neck. This is for the desert. It's very thin, breathable, especially if you get it wet. It makes all the difference in the world if it's wet. It just helps wick away some of that heat off of you. And it's also good for sun protection. You can pull it up over your ears. Highly recommend wearing a buff or getting buffs. And then I carried bear spray the entire time we were in grizzly country. So from Glacier all the way down and through the winds, I carried bear spray. All right, hope you guys liked the video. That's all my gear. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And if you're interested in seeing any of my photography, you can find me at Cheesebeard_hikes on Instagram. And I'll be posting lots of my film photography once I develop all that film. So yeah, thanks.